Isn't it okay to get lost in Las Vegas?
Oh
I
yeah.
was thinking about this the other day. My son Jesse was out in Las Vegas when we had that 70th birthday celebration, but actually was not in attendance at the big, gathering when
Oh,
everybody
that's
got
funny.
together for the birthday dinner. Why? Because he was playing poker at a nearby casino, and I was thinking, I really respect that. I do. Some people that might have caused some kind of very, just almost abrasive kind of rift in the family. But with me and everybody accepted it. Oh yeah, he's in a poker tournament. No problem, man. Let's hope he wins, which is great.
Wake up with Defo, joined by Lubie. Welcome to the Defo Show.
I think he was at the area taking down a lot of cash from a bunch of blue hairs that happened to be playing there. And how could you possibly deny a guy an opportunity, a money-making entrepreneurial opportunity like that? Hey, good morning, everybody. Good to be with you. Jeff DeForest, we got Mike Lubie Lubitz. And today we will conduct the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. We will be joined by one Dave Gurggles Gergely. He's going to be the master of ceremonies there. And who is better equipped to do that, especially after that pathetic performance by me last week with my 20-year-old questions, which somehow held up, Lubie. They held up through the game. The actual delivery and the live performance wasn't necessarily anything that would be particularly, a source of pride for the organization here, South Florida Live, Lubie. I don't know. Did you send that out to any of our possible syndicators for them to view and say, well, that looks pretty good. I think we ought to pick that show up.
No.
As I was bumbling my way through it. So we're happy to have Gurggles on board for that. And then later on, the professor, nobody better to, we have a lot of guys that we have tremendous respect for on the college basketball scene. One we lost to a gig as a professional wrestling announcer.
Yes.
Well, I got to tell you about the situation between the Iron Sheik and Dusty Rhodes. It's not pretty, ladies and gentlemen. Is that what he's doing? Has he? Oh no, he's not really. He's above the level of championship wrestling from Florida.
Yeah.
Championship wrestling from Florida was like a chump Midwest circuit compared to what this guy Blake Chadwick is doing.
He's with WWE. It's called NXT, but it was their minor leagues, and it's such a big deal that it now travels the country and is on 3 days a week on national television.
This guy was going to armories, Elks lodges.
He was going
a big deal was if he actually locked up a ring announcer gig in Kissimmee. You have to give it to guys who stick to their guns and actually end up making it to a major platform. We're hoping to get there again. I mean, we want a second chance. The old Mike Zito song. We want a second chance at living a first-class life. That's kind of what we're looking for here. Anyway, good to be with you. We'll have the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. We'll get some insight into the tournament, which right now I'm on fire, Lubie. I am on fire.
Okay.
In the play-in games. I had an opinion on 3 of the 4 play-in games, including both of last night's games, which, by the way, you should have corrected me on this. Fairleigh Dickinson is not the Dicks, Lubie. They're the Knights.
I don't know what the hell they are.
They are not the Dicks. But anyway, the Dicks went out last night, and they stuck it too. There you go with your sexual double entendre. Come on, Ron DeSantis. Come down on me. Go ahead. Take us on. We're not afraid. We need the publicity anyway. But they go out and they annihilate their competition last night. And so they get the honor of going in there against Purdue. Now, this is going to be really, it's the Lilliputians going against Purdue. Their backcourt goes 5'8", 5'9", Fairleigh Dickinson. 5'8", 5'9". And Purdue, of course, is led by 7-foot monster Zach Edey, who, did he already get College Player of the Year award? Did he get that award? I don't know if they gave that out yet. But as a likely winner of the College Player of the Year. Is that possible? I know the professor's not a big fan of Zach Edey. I guess that's more as a pro.
His game, it's not like he's a Timmy where he never had a time. Like he would have fit the NBA in the 90s and 2000s. Now the bigs all take it outside, and he's not adept at shooting outside. So, and he's not.
Could he be like he's not as agile as Rudy Gobert? You would have to say that's probably a true statement to make. All right, so gets interesting. Before we get into all of that, though, I did want to mention this. It's every general manager and team owner's worst nightmare, is it not, Mike Lubie Limits? That you would send off a player to like a meaningless exhibition or have them involved in a preseason game, in this case, the World Baseball Classic, and sustain an injury that potentially could knock you out for the year. Now, we don't know the extent of Edwin Diaz's injury, but it didn't look pretty, did it? I think Jim Sarney told me he left the field in a wheelchair or something. I saw him kind of, I guess, gimping off the field there and injured during a celebration, jumping up and down with the Puerto Rican baseball team as they pulled off, I guess, some kind of significant victory. This World Baseball Classic, in all honesty, I only follow it because they're force feeding us highlights, and it has been a sensation in Miami, which is really, is that not a strange thing to look at? Mike Lubie, it's packed stadiums of people just partying their ass off at Lone Shark Park. Doesn't it seem, you're wondering, where the hell is that? What part of South America is that taking place in? And it's here, right in our own backyard, at a stadium where normally you can hear birds up there in the rafters. Ooh, ooh, ah, ah.
Well, it's why baseball should work here, because and it's why they thought baseball would work here.
How could it be that much of a disparity? How could there be that much of a disparity, though, in what we're seeing now with these exhibitions versus like regular season Major League Baseball with a team that, has been in town now for some time, since '93?
We have a strong Caribbean Latin presence. We have a strong South American Latin presence. But our team sucks every year. And if you notice, the teams are rooting for Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, dominate. So, yeah, they're excited. They represent their country, and they also represent a winner. Like, I don't know if the Haitian team got big support, and we have a big Haitian influence. Like, they're Latin baseball fans. They support their country, and they also support a winner. And the Marlins haven't been that. So that's the problem.
You believe that would be the case, that the place would be jammed with guys with they're bringing tubas and banjos and tambourines and all kinds of clappers and timbales. I mean, I thought I saw Tito Puente Jr. down there. Now Cuba, I believe, is going to be coming to town. Cuba.
And I bet you they get it. That also is probably a very good team.
Yeah.
That's representing their country. And I bet you that gets full as well. That's the problem with the Marlins. The Marlins, Derek Jeter, and they talked about reaching out to the Latin. You have to win. You have to put a good product. Like that the fan base understands what good baseball is. And when they go out there and watch a minor league fucking squad, like, yeah, I don't need to pay my hard-earned money to watch this. Like that's
you talk about total rejection. I mean, the antithesis of what we're seeing right now, it takes place on a nightly basis. It's a shame because you're looking at it going, wow. I mean, we've had other occasions where, some singular event has drawn like a huge crowd. I mean, it even happened with college basketball before they started selling out the Wasco Center, which I'm, thinking that is the sum total of all of their fans. They all go to the Wasco Center because otherwise you don't. I mean, I feel like I'm force feeding basketball on people sometimes, don't you?
Yes, it's like Sarney.
Yeah,
and that's the funny thing is he thinks that's us talking mainstream. Which is really funny for South Florida because it's not.
Way off the radar.
You go around. Okay, put it this way: we had Vega the other night, right? The playing games are going on. These are actual tournament games.
Yes,
these are a load of garbage. Even the bracket actually writes them off. They would just write in.
They put in a winner without knowing who the winner was, and they were right about Fairleigh Dickinson. That's how I ended up picking them.
But it is a tournament game. Like that team wins, they can move on. We've seen it. They have. USC did it. VCU did it. I think St. Peter's might have done it. So they are tournament games around the country. I'm sure in bars, they're highly visible. We did our Trivia Tuesday. Playing games were on. Once we started trivia and we took away one TV, the other two TVs had the Rangers and the Capitals, which no one cares about, meaning no one was watching the TVs, even though
all those Panther fans had to be glued to that game, right? That has significance. Capitals aren't they like chasing the Panthers for that last spot in the playoffs? Think so.
Other room in the back where no one was, I think there was one TV on the playing games. Like that's South Florida. Like they just don't.
Nobody would care. No, they just as soon see CNN or like Bloomberg Network.
CNBC, yeah.
Oh, wow, the market's way off today. I can't believe it. These are the young kids. These are the spring breakers that are coming down here. Anyway, that has to be a nightmare. This Edwin Diaz thing. I mean, for the Mets, because we don't know the severity of the injury, and I guess there'll be a further report today. But if that guy tore an ACL or something, jumping up and down in a meaningless exhibition game. Remember when Zach Thomas got hurt in a preseason game playing special teams in Mexico, and Jimmy, our good friend Jimmy Johnson, was crucified for having this guy in a game. And now Jimmy's justification at the time was, and Jimmy had a little bit of that Norman Schwarzkopf, let's go get him, guys. Let's charge ahead.
Yes.
Let's jump in these Jeeps and ride right across the desert and shoot him right in the head. Right. That kind of thing. He had a little bit of that Lawrence of Arabia, kind of thing where okay, let's go, guys. We're all in this, and we're going to fight like dogs, and every game is meaningful no matter what. And so he had Zach in there on special teams. His justification, I remember, because, he was crucified for this and doing sports talk radio in town. Every other caller was, can you believe this guy, this clown, left Zach Thomas in the game? And so, Jimmy, who had an answer pretty much for everything that you would listen to and go, well, okay, that makes some sense. Said, well, he plays special teams during the regular season, so we had him on special teams during this exhibition. In what was that? I mean, was the field a particular atrocity that day? Nothing will equal the field condition of the Super Bowl. What happened to George Tomey guy, man? Did he sell out to FanDuel or something? I mean, what happened to him? Are we going to find out? Yeah, that the groundskeeper, the supervisor of the groundskeeping crew, George Tomey, who's legendary in this capacity among anybody that's ever done it. I don't know. Does anybody else have a name of that magnitude besides our good friend Dennis Testa out at Hialeah Park? For having like ideal conditions. I mean, if there's something going on in a big game, a big event, and there's going to be a little bit of a peculiar situation in terms of having the field be at the level that you would normally be accustomed to, a level playing field, so to speak. Tomey is the guy they call, right? First guy they call. Okay, comes in there. How did he end up? That literally did. I mean, the more I think about it, that looked like they were playing a Winter Classic there in the NHL, didn't it? I mean, like the field was in the same condition. Is it possible that he, had like the over in that game or something? He didn't want anybody to be able to defend? Because the offensive player in adverse conditions, I believe, has a tremendous advantage. Advantage, yeah. A wide receiver. I always like playing football in adverse conditions because you had just all you would have to do. You literally would do that thing that our guy Joe did from Esposito's. Go, your mama, and the guy would. You didn't have to use a head fake, nothing. Just go the other way. It was great. All right, so I would have been 2 for 2 last night. Arizona State, we speculated, Lubie, with our limited knowledge of college basketball, but I had caught the intro to a game when Arizona State played, I believe, Arizona in their conference tournament. And Bill Walton was doing the color analysis, and I remember him emphasizing, it's about time somebody put a dagger in Arizona State.
Yeah, Walton sort of sound like Andy Byer.
He does a little bit like Andy Byer. All of my impressions sound the same. I mean, you know that. Very limited in that regard. My Vin Scully sounds like Andy Byer. Pull up a chair and stay a while. We have Dodger baseball on the air. Anyway, so that was an interesting coaching matchup, wasn't it, last night? Did you see that at the Arizona State thing with Nevada? And you got Steve Alford, of course, was a champion with Indiana. And, it was a dynamite college three-point shooter. I mean, he was right there with Rick Mount out of Purdue, wasn't he? Steve Alford?
Yes,
he was money in the bank there.
Indiana, yep.
It would be interesting. I guess they did reference this, that there was a night or something where they got together, and I guess the announcers with Steve Alford, and he was just reeling off Bobby Knight stories.
I'm sure.
That must be a blast. But Alford, who has had a mixed bag of success and failure as a college coach, coaching at Nevada, and that was a team. Didn't you say that was a cutesy professor team?
Yeah, Professor talked about Nevada.
Did he have one last night? I hope he didn't, because wow, I mean, that was a thorough hammering, my friend.
I would say no.
That was as lopsided a game as you'll ever see. I mean, they were up like 27, I think, or something like that at halftime. Arizona State. And it was never really a contest. I guess it got to 19 in the second half and then ultimately ended up like a 25, 26-point game. So they get in there, but they move in as a number 11 seed, Arizona State. Whereas Fairleigh Dickinson, the Dicks, are going to get, I mean, how pounded are they going to get by Purdue, would you say? There's a bet you can make, Lubie, and not that anybody would be gambling on these games, but there's a bet that you can make. Will any number 16 team beat a number 1? Will any of the 4 16s beat a 1? And you get
are the odds amazing?
You get like 5 to 1, and it's not as big as I thought it would be.
I don't need that.
Yeah, I wouldn't touch that. And then it drops down. Will any 15 beat a 2? And I think you get 250. 5 to 2 basically on that, 250 for 100 if you're willing to take that proposition up. One of the 15s has to beat a 2. I'm not sure I'm taking that one either in this tournament. Are you? What do you think, Louie? Are we going all Chuck? You Chuck eating piece of shit.
I'm very chalky.
I don't know. I mean, when you're looking at it, how do you end up picking the upsets, Louis? I mean, what is your theory for picking upsets? Some foundation based on knowledge, having seen some of these teams play, listening to other guys, and sort of just kind of parroting off their opinion and thinking, okay, well, this guy knows what he's talking about. I'll go with him. Yep. What do you think?
That's what it is. It's remembering what Lang, Lawrence, and Ken have said throughout the year, because they've actually thrown in some college basketball during this season, and then running with that. The problem is I don't remember who said what and was it good or bad. That's the other issue. Is I remember them talked about Nevada, but they could have been negative about Nevada. Like I don't remember.
Yeah, maybe you said they sucked. Yeah, exactly. They did last night. I mean, they really sucked.
That's my problem.
If you had money on Nevada last night, you were willing an empty chamber somewhere midway through the first half. You're right there, a scene out of Deer Hunter there with De Niro and, and the boys around the table there. Not a pleasant scene, that's for sure. All right, but anyway, it gets underway today, 12:15. So what are you going to do? What are your plans there, Lubie? I would imagine many people will be lined up at various sports bars. We had a great time yesterday, by the way. Terrific food. Pat Utter shenanigans, man. I mean, wow, did they hit a home run yesterday with us? That shepherd's pie is that was one of the best I've ever had. I'm a fan of that kind of stuff too, because I mean, what's better than meat with a glop of potatoes on it?
What's interesting is there's usually cheese, and I don't think theirs had cheese, and it didn't affect it. Like it was just as good.
No, it was very tasty, man. I mean, he used the quality of meat, and then the way he did the thing with the potatoes, it wasn't so overwhelming that you felt like the Michelin Man as you walked out of there.
That's
right?
True. It's usually
we actually ate a few other things, even though we were sharing this particular dish. But one would have been plenty for anybody. That shepherd's pie shenanigans, and then the corned beef and cabbage thing. What you feeling about that? I thought the sandwich was better actually than the platter. Yeah, it's because it had like melted cheese on it or something. What do you think?
Well, first of all, it had, I don't know what they did. It was like a mustard cream sauce. I don't know, whatever it was amazing.
Yeah,
and with the cheese and the buttered oily bread with the meat,
that was good. Yeah, that was good.
Great. Because my parents every year made it, I like corned beef, cabbage, and potatoes, but I also admit there's really no flavor to it.
No, it's like you're boiling the flavor right out of the thing, right?
Well, you don't season it. You don't do anything. It's literally
just throw it in
potatoes. Like, that's what it is.
It's like you were cooking in college,
Yes.
No, in college, I used to throw everything in there, man. I mean, it didn't matter what I had. I'm putting like Lysol in there. I mean, anything, just a little spritz, talcum powder. I mean, whatever you could throw into the dish, you were throwing in there to try and add some flavor to it. A lot of people are going to be eating that. I would have to say that, does cabbage give you gas? I mean, this could be a very, very difficult day for a lot of people to endure. I think it gives me gas. Let's stay away from it. All right. Hopefully we'll get some gas for you. And we'll have the professor later on talking about some of the tournament games. My two key games in the tournament. I mentioned it all throughout the week. Iona, actually, the spread has widened in that game in favor of UConn. UConn is a darling of a lot of people to maybe have a Kemba Walker type run. What year was that, Kemba Walker? 2011, right?
Yes.
2011. And they came back and won it again like a couple of years later, didn't they? Did they win in 2014, UConn? With Kevin Ollie as their head coach, soon to leave in disgrace and also in dispute. Kevin Ollie, who played for UConn and was on one of those teams, UConn teams that I remember calling against the Hurricanes. I guess that would have been circa early 90s. And they had some great teams there. And Jimmy Calhoun, who was always a prominent figure around NCAA tournament time. And still, that was a classic, right? Leslie Visser tells the story about how Jimmy Calhoun was kind of being a little gruff with her, a little Popovich-esque. And, it's Leslie Visser, for God's sake, right? She's been doing this for a long, long time. And she asked him something, the basic thing that you would sort of present that, coming out after halftime or whatever, and said, what about this? How are you going to handle the press? And he gave her some, really bad answer, like a rude answer. And she said, well, you're down 19. So how's that working out for you? And then he went into a good answer. She broke him down a little bit, like we try to do when we have a guy that has a little bit of an edge to him, like Tillman Fertitta, the owner of the crummy, stinking, decrepit, pathetic, ridiculously bad Houston Rockets, who now wants to buy a football team. I think, doesn't he? Is he not the leading guy to buy the Commanders?
He was in on it. I thought he got dispatched.
Way to go, man! You go from one shithead owner to the other. It's Jeff Bezos whose bid Snyder would never entertain because he absolutely despises him because he owns the Washington Post, which is, just John Feinstein's opinions alone would be enough to have Snyder forever. Being without ever considering a subscription to the Washington Post. I can't imagine he likes reading that paper. All right, on some other fronts here, before we get into the Trivia Challenge, and we're going to be joined by Dave Gurggles Gergely here, the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. You can dial us up if you want to play, 954-417-0070. 954-417-0070. Lubie will be at Landlubbers tonight. We have a Landlubbers gift certificate. He's going to be conducting, and that should be fun. Watching games with the professor.
Yes.
As all of these games are going on the first day of the tournament, 16 today, 16 tomorrow, and generally considered, to be a sports fan's orgy, to be in Las Vegas or somewhere where, and there are many places now where you can wager on the games. Hell, everybody's betting them on their phone anyway. What is the difference in the legality here? Why wouldn't every state just automatically approve of online betting? And and standing casinos also having the availability for sports betting, because everybody's doing it anyway, right, Lubie? Is there anybody you know that doesn't that is inclined to wager that doesn't have a way to do it without going to a bookmaker?
We, because we're too lazy, go through our buddy. But most people, if they really want to, find their own source.
I don't want an account. I don't want to have an online account. I just don't. Yeah.
Yourself, but it's not
something I could fuel with a credit card. Are you kidding me? Why don't you just give some pyromaniac a can of gasoline and a lighter? That'd be kerosene from my bank account, my friend. I can assure you, because the temptation obviously is strong. A very compelling. They're making more and more compelling anti-gambling commercials. As the disclaimer for all of these channels now that are overwhelmingly, encouraging you to bet your brains out on everything. Right, like right after they played on the Tennis Channel, they played, a thing where Martina Navratilova gives her opinion on who will score the first point of the match. All right, imagine speculating on that, right? Well, we got Djokovic here, and I tell you what, this Zverev on the other side, he's got an excellent chance to get this first point. It's like it's the opening point of a tennis match. Any fucking thing can happen.
It's 50-50, so I guess it's at least better than when they pick my favorite in Ken Mox, the hot chick gambling women that literally every show has now.
Oh, no doubt. Yeah. You're wondering, where did they find these people? And how come I never saw them lining up with Louis the Lipschitz in the past? I don't remember any babes being involved in those graveyard payoffs on Monday. Do you? There might have been a couple of wives chasing guys down after they, sicked like a private investigator on them to see where the hell they were going with all this money on Mondays. Why do you have a bag full of cash, sweetheart? Well, I got to pay off this inspector. We got that new building project going up. Meanwhile, you're running a graveyard to pay your bookmaker, right? Now, and every now and then, Lubie, through a series of events, maybe some anonymous tips, the woman would find out and she'd confront you there. That's the only time I ever saw chicks around Lipschitz. Right, but how come they're all gambling their brains out and they're experts on top of that? You're right.
Basically. Well, that's what I was going to say is I don't know about experts. That's the question the professor and I have is they've never been interested in it at all. It's fine that it's an avenue for broadcasting, good for them, but it's a little confusing because they usually, like you're talking about weirdo bets, it's like, will Omer Yurtseven have over under 1.5 rebounds? It's like, what?
Yeah.
I don't even know what to do with that.
And then they go down a panel of schleps that you never heard of, that have never been associated with any sport at any level. And, and you're thinking, did that guy literally, did he sleep in his car last night? He doesn't even look like he, got up and combed his hair for the show. And, and then they go down and, they give their opinion and that's it, right? You're supposed to just start sending it in on the prop bets.
So at least an Navratilova when you offered up, at least it's 50-50 and it's of a match you're watching. Like it's not.
Right after she says, what her opinion is that Federer is going to get the first point, here comes this, like dramatic ad about people breaking down, and their whole lives crumbling because they had a gambling problem, which is not funny, but it is funny in the context that this comes, on the heels out of necessity, to clarify their position that, we know we're trying to sucker you into making the dumbest bet of your lifetime, but we care. Gotta love that, man. What a world we live in right now, Lubie. It's just incredible. The Heat clobbered Memphis last night. Jean Morant got an 8-game suspension. He's already been out for 6. So he's going to sit out 2 more games. He seemed to have found himself, Lubie. I don't know if he was with Aaron Rodgers in some, darkness retreat, but he was very coherent when he was talking to Jalen Rose in the interview that he did. So, let's hope the kid straightens himself out because, what he was doing, it came under the heading of, I suppose he's about to become an embarrassment. And, that's the position that Adam Silver took. So, Jean Morant was not with the Memphis Grizzlies last night, and the Heat greatly took advantage of that, running away and hiding in that ballgame. They were up by like 30 points, different junctures in the ballgame, and ended up winning by like 20. So a good win for the Miami Heat last night. I was thinking, too, and I had a dream before we get into the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. I woke up to like a series of bricked free throws, Lubie. Bricked free throws, and then the Keith Smart shot. Wow. I mean, was that one of the ugliest things? 1987 at Cuse in the Superdome in New Orleans, where they would subsequently go years later. And isn't this the beauty of the tournament, Lubie? Years later, they would redeem themselves with an improbable tournament win, sparked by Carmelo Anthony. And who else was on that team with Carmelo Anthony? Did they have anybody else of merit? Or of
Jerry McNamara is super young. Like I feel like Jerry
McNamara might have been on that team. Is that possible? Yeah.
A team they had the shot blocker that ended up playing a really long time in the NBA.
The Beat, was that the guy?
The Beat was on UConn. Hakeem Warwick. Warwick was also a freshman and was like a shot blocking savant. Yeah. Jerry Mack was also, I think, a freshman. That team was loaded with young kids, from what I remember. And then Melo just went on a freaking ridiculous run and carried them.
That was a great tear. I mean, we talked about, somebody might get hot, an individual. And Carmelo Anthony, literally like Quasimodo, I mean, he just carried the entire team on his back that year. And otherwise, Jimmy B has a distinction. I mean, even beyond, exponentially beyond what you could say about Danny Marino, that, he never won a ring. And you're like, in this case, that would have been a problem, no? I mean, you can't blame Marino for the guys around him, but Jimmy B had every opportunity to win championship after championship and only came away with the one. And it was at a time which, and this could be said about his entire coaching career, no? That he did better with the schlepper teams that he had than he did with the teams that were like laced with top-notch star caliber talent.
For sure.
Always did better. All right. We're getting into the trivia challenge. Can we pop up Gurgs for a little introduction here? There he is, ladies and gentlemen, the master of ceremonies. Gurgs, your value was never more pronounced than it was last week when I attempted to do this thing on my own. I mean, absolutely, we had nothing but mad respect for you after last week's, just absolute debacle that we conducted on the air here. So how are you, Gurgs? How's everything?
Good. We had Marion Center Golf Tournament. They raised some money for disability kids, and that was on Thursday. Friday, we had Chaminade Madonna, which is the first time we've had that tournament here.
Oh, yeah.
And I just got word I'm going to attend in June the Old Timers Lehigh Valley Sports Athletes Banquet. They sent me an invite back in Allentown, Pennsylvania. No, I'm just one of the, as you would say, schleppers. I played baseball, basketball, and golf back then. And so I'll hook up with guys I haven't seen probably in 50, 60 years, some of the guys. So it'll be fun to do that. But that's not till June. Thursdays look pretty good for me until I think I got one in a couple in May. But we'll see. I'll keep you posted. But the schedule looks pretty clear. And I'm looking forward to it.
Well, good. I mean, because we need you, Gurg. So, the trivia challenge was not the same without you. We both have spoken to the Polyman recently, and the Polyman, I don't know if he vowed a comeback, an imminent comeback with you, but he did mention something to me about he might be back sooner than you think, which is great, right?
Speaking of comebacks, I don't know if you heard this one. about the couple that traveled from the United States to Israel. And
Yeah.
while they were there, sadly, the man lost his wife. She passed away.
Oh,
So a rabbi over in Israel said, I know an undertaker. Don't worry. They hook him up with the undertaker. The guy says, well, sir, we can bury your wife here in Israel with a very nice grave for $500, or we can ship her back to the States for $15,000. The guy doesn't hesitate. He goes, ship her back to the States. I'll pay the $15,000. The guy says, I'm not sure you understood me. It's only $500 if we bury her here in Israel, or $15,000 we send it back. Why? He says, I remember 2,000 years ago, somebody died, and 3 days later, they came back again. I'm not taking that chance.
Oh, no.
That'll be a FanDuel prop bet now. I mean, whether a guy could come back to life. Speaking of which, I don't know if you were a fan of this song. I did want to mention this, and we probably should sing it along together in honor of his passing at 71. Miami's own Bobby Caldwell checked out the other day. Bobby Caldwell. What you won't do.
Yeah, I remember him.
Do for love. I got a thing for you, and I can't let it go. Great guy. I got to know him.
That's I've often thought if we came back, me, you, and Paulie,
yes.
It would be great if we and Lubie too. We'd be great on one of those PBS specials, raising money in yellow suits, singing songs and stuff like that. I'd like to come back as one of those guys. The old timers.
That would be fantastic. I don't know that that's quite the dream that I have envisioned. For an afterlife. I think I come back filthy rich and owning several casinos in Las Vegas. So that might be the way to go. All right, Dave Gurggles Gergely going to conduct the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge here. You can dial us up. We have some people already ready to play here at 954-417-0070. We're always seeking new blood here, Lubie. What is that? A fuel search, Pilgrim?
I'm trying.
Pilgrim, your search is over because it never had a chance to get started here. We're trying to drum up some new blood here on the show, just to get to know different people at 954-417-0070. The Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. Lubie has the Landlubber's gift certificate to give away. Hialeah Park, a great place to go, and wow, I mean, what a great time we had. Gurggles, the fights were sensational there, and what was really terrific was as I was kind of touring around the rest of the grounds there. Big party going on the patio there with a Latin DJ. Everybody's dancing. The girls really looked, sensational. And you would have thought you were at some nightclub back in the heyday, and some South Beach club. It was absolutely fantastic. And then the casino that was rocking. The machines, they've been paying huge jackpots there all along. And Steve Calabro, we talked with Steve, and he was saying, we're paying at the same rate that you get in like Las Vegas and Atlantic City. Not some rate that was negotiated in the darkness, some clandestine meeting with Ron DeSantis somewhere. We're giving the people a shake, man, a fair shake, and that's what it's all about. And that's why people have so much fun there. Poker is great. You love the Champion simulcasting room like I do. There weren't that many people in there because I got there at the very end of the last race was going off at Gulfstream. But the Latin vibe, man, and nobody gives a harder high five after a win than those Latin guys at the bar, at the Brass Rail Bar. I mean, you almost want them to miss, right? I think the only guy that had a stronger hand than those guys was Vito, good friend of ours who was in the collection business before he passed away.
Rest in peace. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. There were some markers out there, too. I don't know. Do those still apply? When do you get the call that says, I took over Vito's business. He was a good friend of mine.
I don't think they don't expire until he pays the Sun Pass. I think that's another thing. But Hialeah Park's got something for everybody. You hit the nail on the head. Whether it's boxing, whether it's the music, whether it's the casino, whether it's horse racing, you can have a nice quiet time. You can have a lively time. And a thing that is underrated is the good food they have. From breakfast in the casinos to lunch to dinner. You can't beat it. And it's close by. People, if you have not been there in a while, folks, you owe it to yourself to go there. You'll see the history, and then you'll enjoy the present and the future. It's worth it.
Yeah, they posted up a picture, like a trivia question, kind of like, who are the people in this picture on Facebook, on their Facebook page. And you're like, wow, look at all the distinguished people that roll through this place. And it's still happening at beautiful Hialeah Park. All right, coming back with the trivia challenge. Dial us up, 954-417-0070. Mike Lubitz, the great Dave Gurggles Gergely. I'm Jeff DeForest. And later on, a professor on the college basketball tournament. And a whole lot of fun coming up. Brandon Lang's going to be on our podcast today, I believe. with his selections, and we'll have a Degenerate Friday going tomorrow, where Mark Lawrence, is he in, Louis? Okay, great. So a lot of different handicap and opinions on these games where you can make some money. Back with more in a moment. Now that. You think we need to get a hot chick to do this for us, Louis?
Probably would be what they're looking for.
We'd have bags full of cash. We wouldn't have to worry about a thing again. It's 7:38. Ponies in Style at Champions, the outstanding simulcasting room at beautiful Hialeah Park. Yes, the grand old lady of thoroughbred racing has never been more vibrant, and you can wager on the races from the top tracks around the country while enjoying a cocktail at the Brass Rail Bar or any of the fine food served throughout the facility. If poker is your game, you're covered in style, and you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
Hey folks, Tony Segreto here. You know, since day one, Catholic Health Services has been part of Old School. And since we've started letting people know about them, it's changed their lives. You see, Catholic Health Services, while being recognized as one of the top places for stroke rehab in the country, it's also about a group of people who not just excel in what they do, from the doctors to the nurses to the therapist, on and on and on. It's how they do what they do every single day that separates them from the pack. They do it with a passion, unmatched, and the inclusion of family in every step of the process. Trust me when I tell you this. If you want the best, unmatched rehab with a special group of skilled, caring people, there is truly only one place, and that one place is Catholic Health Services.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubber's Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. First of all, they're not only open for delivery and pickup. All you have to do is go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both pickup and free delivery. Their hours have changed a little bit. Monday through Thursday from 3:30 to 10, and Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 11:30 to 10. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers, Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Oh, Solo Volante will be coming late. Oh, Solo Volante, the Belmont's now 1 mile and an 8. The finish line is coming up quick. Luca Panici, just switch the stick.
The only way to get your morning started is with Defo, joined by Lubie, right here on the Defo Show.
Tough to find that on Fox Sports Radio on a Saturday morning, as the Polyman with his rendition of Solo Volante. And who knew, man? Wasn't that like a Jim Neighbors moment for you, Dave Gurggles Gergely?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, a Mel Tillis thing where the guy's stuttering and he belts out a song as if he was Robert Goulet.
Although prior to that, the one he did about falling in love in the first month of May, and I looked over and she looked like Lafitte Pinkai. For the Derby.
Racetrack
we can
Blues.
Never find that one.
Yeah, that was classic.
Jimmy used
Racetrack
to play the
Blues.
harmonica on it. Yeah, that was a good one.
It was always strong when we had musical accompaniment, especially who was that guy that you knew? Wasn't that your guy that had the
Polish
accordion?
Mike. Polish Mike.
We've done some really
Smoke on the
schlock
water.
stick on this show, which is appropriate that here we are now. All right, give us a call if you want to play. Dave's about to start the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge, 954-417-0070. We have a Landlubber's gift certificate we'll give away, which if you happen to be a member of the Chronics team, which has been the, you talk about the, top seeds always making it to the Final Four. That's the way it's been. And they just go ahead and receive it right there on the spot, which is great. So we dodge all of the litigation that goes along with the fact that we stiff somebody on a prize. Louie's able to hand it to him in person. All right, so here we go. Dedicated to the Polyman, and I don't know if I would imagine you have plenty of questions in this category. So let's try to begin in the traditional fashion with Dave Gurggles Gergely as the Polyman and some
Easy baseball. This New York Mets broadcaster, known for his occasional slips of the tongues, once said, "We'll be right back after this word from Manufacturer's Hangover." What's that? Our buddy Ralph Kiner, Ralph Cramden, Ralph Terry, or Terry Dissinger?
It's always good when you come up to a few guys that are like configured at the corner of the bar at the track, and you say, "Hey, what is this, Kiner's Corner?" Great show. I mean, among the longest running shows in the history of television. Here's the scrambler, and it lands on the Chronic to start us out. Lenny the Chronic, how are you, my friend? How was your bid for victory at the Downtowner? You all right?
Downtowner was good. Tonight's the challenging night. The professor, he keeps us sharp.
All right, very good. And, there's it seems to be a lot of anxiety about these.
I'm not down tonight.
What's that?
I can't. I have a tournament tomorrow at 8:00 in the morning down in Kendall area at a place called the Miccosukee Golf Tournament, and he told me not to mention Jeff's name. But I'll be there.
Don't bring me up to these people. Yeah.
No.
I don't know what's the statute of limitations on that thing. I probably could go down there if I was willing to gamble there. I'm sure they'd welcome me. All right, Lenny, you have 1 point. You're in the game.
All right, Lenny, true or false? Golf. Bet Online, the website, has come out with a prop on who Tiger Woods will date next. And believe it or not, the favorite is Gisele Bündchen.
Wow.
True or false?
Nah, that can't be false.
Has to be false. True?
It's true. It's
Get out
true.
of here.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yep.
She's not his type, I don't think. Yeah.
Well,
Wow,
that's what they put out anyway.
Yeah, he doesn't look too favorable in these reports that are coming out. So who knows how that's going to end up? But you can't. What is it? You can't change the spots on a leopard,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
And LT, I guess apparently same regard for women that he had many years ago when he was banging that Perkins waitress. All right, you have one going for 4 here, Lenny. I can't believe everybody would have been fooled by that. I think.
Well, it's in honor of our friend the Paulie man. He used to stump Lenny all the time. All right, Lenny, baseball, your 3-point question. Sadly, a passing this week, former Yankee first baseman Joe Pepitone passed away this week at age 82. With what team did he end his playing career?
That's a good question.
Yankees,
Ooh, that's a good one.
the Cubs, the Astros, or the Braves?
What was the first one?
The Yankees, the Cubs, the Astros, or the Braves?
Wow.
I
Pepitone.
think it was either the Cubs or the Astros. I'm going to go with the Cubs.
Cubs.
You want to pick the Astros instead?
Yeah,
Because they're both wrong. It was
All right.
the Braves.
Braves.
He ended his career with the Braves.
Really? Wow.
Yep.
Holy Rico
Yep.
Cardi, man. Joe Pepitone
Wow.
to the Braves. All right, going for 6 points here, Chronic, and that obviously would set the pace.
Okay.
All right, we got a lot of March Madness questions today because that's on, obviously. Which school was the first to make it to 5 consecutive Final Fours?
Oh, geez.
Wow.
Kentucky,
Ooh.
Cincinnati, Duke, or UCLA?
So it's Cincinnati.
That's what I would have said, the least obvious. All right.
Yeah, the great Oscar Robertson and company. Yep.
Very good. All right,
Cincinnati
Chronic.
is correct.
Chronic tallies, a very significant 6 points there, getting the 5-pointer at the end to bail out on the round. You can dial us up if you want to play, 954-417-0070, 954-417-0070. Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge, as we say, always just stunning stuff going on at Hialeah Park. Everybody having a great time. It was a thrill to be down there and just look around the grounds, unlock the memory bank. But, the other thing that would have been nice while outside there, Gurggles, would have been to light up a Perdomo cigar.
Yeah, you better believe it. And you can do it there. I've been there many a times at Champions. Then I go outside, take a break, read the racing form, and have a Perdomo cigar. Just watch the flamingos fly back and dream back to the days when I had Eddie Maple on a $33 horse for Woody Stevens on the turf. And you don't have to go to the Maldives like I was there to have a Perdomo cigar. You can get one right away at 5150 Northwest 167th Street on the Palmetto on the south side, just a little east of the Home Depot. You can't miss it, the big Perdomo sign. Go in there, see Nick Jr., see his lovely wife, Lauren, who's expecting their first child any day now, a little baby girl, I believe. And Nick will be happy to sell you a box of cigars or a gift certificate or a humidor or a lighter, whatever you need. Perdomo Cigars will help you. 305-627-6700. You see the number across the screen. And go online if you're going to buy on the weekend because they're closed, but you can find somebody that has them. PerdomoCigars.com to find a retailer near you that sells these great Perdomo cigars. And whether you're out on a boat whether in your backyard or whether you're just lounging in your Florida room, nothing says perfect day like a Perdomo cigar.
Very good. All right. That's Dave Gurggles Gergely, Perdomo Cigars. That picture still is, it is so much the epitome of you. That picture of you with the cold beer, yeah, you can see there in the Maldives, and realizing that not only are you with a very nice and wonderful woman, but you're going Dutch. I mean, that is the way to go, man. Just a beautiful thing. All right, let's get into it. We have Lenny the Chronic with 6, and here's our next set of questions on the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge.
All right. This quote's dedicated to the lovely and talented Leslie Visser. NBA. This Boston Globe writer on the demise of the Celtics once said, for over 20 years, the Boston Celtics have stood for something. The only thing they stand for now is the national anthem. What's that? Bob Ryan, Rex Ryan, Ryan O'Neal, or Curly Neal?
Probably didn't endear Bob Ryan to the Celtics organization. Here's a random phone scrambler to determine our next player, and it lands on Mike. Mike, you're on the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. Good morning, sir.
Hey, good morning, eh?
Good morning.
Correct. Man, sharp player so far today, Gergs.
All right, Mike, boxing, true or false, and I had to give this to you instead of Lenny because I saw this on Facebook. None other than our own Lenny the Chronic's review of the movie Creed went viral with over 150,000 looks when he said he wished Creed would have knocked him out during the movie so he didn't have to watch it. Did it get that 150,000 views? True or false?
False.
I would say false.
Yeah. He probably got 10 people to look at it, but it was a pretty good line.
It was actually a good line.
Oh, great line. I easily could have gone viral there for the Chronic.
All right, 2 going for 5. All right, Mike, baseball. Who's the only pitcher to have not 1, but 2 career opening day home runs? Bob Gibson, Wes Farrell, Don Drysdale, or Jack Morris?
Wow.
Let me go Morris.
I'm going to go Gibson.
No,
Drysdale?
Don Drysdale. Yeah, Drysdale.
Yeah. He can hit a little bit, Drysdale.
Yes, he could.
And he wasn't afraid to hit the first batter or two, when
That's
they
right.
started out in the
That's
spring.
right.
It was a little cool there in Chavez Ravine. All right, 2 going for 7 here, Mike. This will put you on the lead.
Yep. All right, listen closely, Mike. College hoops. Which are the only 2 teams to play in the Final Four in their hometown?
All right.
Only 2. UCLA and Houston, Butler and UCLA, NC State and Butler, or Louisville and UCLA?
Wow, it's a mind bender.
I don't understand it.
Let's go NC State and Butler.
NC State and
They
Butler.
got half right. It was Butler and UCLA were the only 2 to play in their hometown.
All right, very good. Tough question there.
Nice.
That was one of those SAT questions, degenerate SAT questions.
Yeah, that was a little tough.
Right there. We had to make some deductions and some calculations and then start figuring out where do these teams actually play. All right, very good. We have Chronic with 6 points. He's in the lead. Mike doesn't tally a total worthy of being in the finals. Open lines at 954-417-0070, 954-417-0070. Jeff DeForest, we got Mike Lubie. It's Dave Gurggles Gergely. It's the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. One thing, we're still trying to get this thing together, Gergs, and get everybody down to Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104, the Overseas Highway in Key Largo. And that will be a blast. And I believe if we go down there, while we're on the scene, we may as well do a Mike Mayo's Lunchbox show from there. And at that point, we can go ahead and say, hey, bring out whatever you got, which is the way that Mayo kind of approaches this thing. And they will bring out like a feast as if you were, sitting there trying to cater the Last Supper. It's absolutely amazing. Great food and drink, tremendous vibe, a great way to relax. You got these last sort of months of what would be, the weather really hasn't changed, Gurggles. Would you say that's fair? I mean, it was a little cooler out yesterday than it had been, but otherwise it's blast furnace city here. I mean, you just feel better when you're in the Keys. It's like a vital transformation, just a different vibe altogether. So check it out. I mean, it's the first thing you come to after you get over that little stretch there where you're thinking, when am I going to hit civilization again? And you get out of Florida City, and you look if you're going south, right there on the right side, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill. Veer right, as if driven by magnetic force field, and you will not regret it for 1 second. You probably never leave. Maybe even change your whole vacation plans, because Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill is all of that, and you're going to love it. Mile marker 104, the Overseas Highway in Key Largo for Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill. All right, we're coming back with more. We'll continue the trivia challenge, the professor on the college basketball tournament, as well, coming up on the show later on Believe podcast. We should feature Brandon Lang with his insight into the tournament. That all gets underway at 12:15, so you got to hustle, people, if you're going to be in one of those bracket jobs, right? Isn't that the cutoff, right? As soon as they tip off the first game?
Right, yeah.
It's going to be before the first game. I think it's like 12 something, and the first game's at like 12:30 or 12:20 or something.
Oh, yeah? Okay. Or should you just right away go and line up and give your money to the cleaning lady right now?
Yeah, honestly.
Yeah, yeah, Betsy.
Yeah, actually, the first game 12:15, so you want to get it in by 12. I would just make 12 your deadline so that you don't miss your cutoffs.
All right, and and the perfect bracket, has that ever been achieved? Has anybody ever done it? Never?
I don't know. I know ESPN's had winners for their challenges, but I don't know. I don't know how you'd have a perfect bracket. Like, I just don't see how that's even feasible.
I mean, it seems impossible, doesn't it? What would be the mathematical permutation on that? What are the odds against it? You could probably calculate that in your head.
Something quintillion or something like that. I saw it. I saw a stat on it, but I don't remember. Yeah.
So many games.
All right, worth playing into. All right, we'll come back with more in a moment. Now that. Why not quintillion to 1, Gergs? I mean, we faced worse with 3 to 5 shots. We had no chance to win. Yeah. It's 7:54.
Folks, Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. All those ingredients, no pun meant there, are hard to find unless you're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. You see, they encompass all of those attributes. Really, really good food, amazing atmosphere, good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs unmatched. Steaks hand-cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. It's the one day, folks, that you can forget about low-carb diets. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
I have sinned against you, my Lord.
The only way to get your morning started is with Defo, joined by Lubie, right here on the Defo Show.
All right, moving right along here with the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. Glad to have you with us here on South Florida Live, 12 o'clock today, the Mike Mayo Lunchbox Show, and then a spectacular Will You Be Spotted? It's kind of weird now that we're on a Gulfstream every Friday with the Mike Mayo Lunchbox Show, and I always look forward. I actually waved and gave a very warm and sincere hello to a guy who I thought was you coming out of the men's room, and it wasn't you. And then the guy looked at me like, hey, schmuck. I mean, what are you, propositioning me here? I mean, he took offense to it. I said, well, you look just like Dave Gurggles Gergely. He said, don't tell me that. Everybody says that. So it's obviously happened to this guy before. I guess that's why it became particularly
that actually
annoying.
Could that the way I've been at the track sometimes, that could have been me that said that to you. Who knows?
You do get grumpy when those streaks are not necessarily going in your favor. All right, but it would be good to round into form as the Derby comes up, which is the single greatest bet, betting opportunity that you could ever have. I mean, it's absolutely amazing, the money to be made on the Kentucky Derby as compared to other races, or any ordinary day at the races, right? Field of 20, just anything can happen. It's absolutely fantastic. All right, here we go. Back into the I mean, you're testing your fortunes here by playing the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge and a chance to win a Landlubber's gift certificate and maybe even get it autographed by Mike Lubie Lubitz. That would enhance its value immensely.
Sure.
And still be worth the same $25. But anyway, here's Dave Gurggles Gergely, our next set of questions. Dial us up if you want to play. 954-417-0070.
Golf. This actor and frequent player in the Bing Crosby Pro-Am at Pebble Beach Golf Course said, if you think it's tough meeting new people, just try picking up the wrong golf ball on a golf course. What's that? Jack Lemmon, Big Dave Lemmon, Chet Lemmon, or Chet the Jet Walker?
Any word from Big Dave Lemmon? Gurggles.
No.
Wow.
No, he worked at the Isle last I heard.
Haven't heard or seen from him in a long, long time. That's always scary. Although I think he was looking for some of that pool money that he was owed from 2006. All right, here's the here's a scrambler. It lands on Ron. Ron, you're on the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. Hello, Ron.
Good morning, fellas. Let's go with A.
A is correct. Way to go, Ron. Good job.
Attaboy, Ron. Football, Ron. True or false? Of all the people trying to lure Lamar Jackson to the Las Vegas Raiders, believe it or not, this week, the newest one was O.J. Simpson, who sent him a video saying, come join me in Las Vegas. True or false?
Go true.
That's true. Wow.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
There's a ringing endorsement.
I think the second
Raiders.
part of it was, come on out to Vegas, Lamar. You'll kill it out here. I don't think that part aired, though.
Oh, Jesus. Can you believe that, though? That's still one of the most baffling things that happened during my lifetime where a guy gets away with a double murder, all right? And then goes to jail for almost 10 years for trying to steal a rubber Heisman that he originally owned. A rubber version of the trophy.
Yeah.
Incredible. Yeah.
We saw him play. Wild. He played golf here after he was acquitted. And I remember
he was a very popular figure, which was weird.
Yeah. His tee shot in the 10th tee went off to the right, and I had to hold my breath not to say, OJ, another slice. But I didn't say that.
I've told the story many times about how a team of waiters and we had a team of 3 waiters served OJ in the Dharma Grab restaurant in Hollywood when I was working out there. And he left a very chintzy, just disgustingly cheap tip, right? So, we only did a few tables there, so you couldn't afford to really get stiffed by anybody. And we actually went out to the parking lot where he was waiting for his car, his Bentley, and we asked him, we said, OJ, how was the service? Was everything okay? And he was like, oh, yeah, you guys are great, with a big smile. And then my friend Spencer, who was the lead guy on the team, looks, with this pathetic look like my mother used to have when she tried to return like a meatloaf that she had bought 6 years ago and was frozen, to like a Winn-Dixie that never even sold it to her in the first place. And OJ actually coughed over another like $5, which at the time was like semi-significant. But did we know that he had a temper, Gurggles? Would you have risked your life over something like that? What do you think? No. Crazy. But,
not then I wouldn't have, but I would have went after him too for stiffing me. I was a waiter at one time, so I know the feeling.
I would imagine that you could have done it though with like a snide remark from a distance, where you totally embarrassed the guy as he was going outside. Yeah,
I was a waiter at the Black Angus Steakhouse in Oakland Park, where the feature meal, the most expensive meal, was a $5.99 New York strip in 1974. Wow. A guy came in with a Porsche, him and his girlfriend. The bill was $9.95. He gave me a $10 traveler's check and left. He left me a nickel. Later, I leave and go to the Mai Kai for a drink, and I saw his Porsche there as he was pulling away, and I went and threw the nickel at his ar.
Oh, I thought you keyed the car also. That would have been
No,
good.
I wouldn't do that.
That's insulting, though. It's an unfortunate thing. To make the jokes about the French Canadians coming down here being light tippers, which maybe tipping isn't in vogue. Is that just true? Yes. They don't tip in Canada.
I don't know. All I can say, and I'll reiterate, on the golf course, they are wonderful. Their etiquette, the way they treat the course. They show up on time for their tee time. So I got no problem with the French Canadians at the way they treat our golf course. Where they treat the service staff, I don't know. That's another matter. Who knows?
I love that clarification that you made there. That was good, Gurggles. Because you probably have the Montreal Canadiens team staying at the hotel and they all play golf. Right? They're in town to play the Panthers. All right, where are we at here?
We are 2 going for 5, I believe.
2 going for 5. Okay.
College hoops, Ron. Which of the following teams entering March Madness has a 17-game winning streak? Is that Kennesaw State, Oral Roberts, Montana State, or Vermont?
Good question.
Let's go. Repeat the question.
Sure. Which of the following teams entering March Madness with a 17-game winning streak? Kennesaw State, Oral Roberts, Montana State, or Vermont?
Let's go Kennesaw State.
That's what I would have said. No?
No. Believe it or not, Oral Roberts, 17-game win streak. Yeah.
Wow. Did they play Duke in the opening round? Is that the matchup? Duke and Oral Roberts?
They might. I'm not sure. They might. Or I'm not sure. They might play them. I think they do. Yep. I'd like to see them beat them, too.
That'd be great. Yeah. All right. Going for 7 points here, Ron.
7.
I would put you in the lead.
Baseball, Ron. 2 players with a minimum of 150 games played in the season went the entire season without grounding into a double play.
Wow.
Craig Biggio and
who? No double plays, huh? Wow.
Tony Taylor, Lou Brock, Manny Mota, or Dick McAuliffe?
Wow.
Let's go Dick McAuliffe.
That's what I would have said.
That's right.
Remember the weird batting stance?
Yeah. Left-hander, yep.
Well
done, Ron.
Could you do that today with today's ball players? I mean, just go right into a batting stance immediately. We both reacted with the same thing. Whereas Lubie, not witnessing that era of baseball. Everybody did that, right? McAuliffe for some reason?
Sure.
And he was a left-handed hitter.
Covington was back like this. Yeah, I remember them.
Yeah, no, there were a few classics. All right, very good. He got it, right? So 7 points for Ron. We'll play one more before we get to the finals here. You can dial us up if you'd like to play. 954-417-0070. 954-417-0070. Gurggles, another word about Perdomo Cigars while we have a chance here as we line up our next play.
Tis the time, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., 5150 Northwest 167th Street. You'll see the big Perdomo sign. Go in there. The man at the concierge D-man, as I call him, will take you in where our friend the Mad Dog built that great humidor for Nick. And there's a pool table there. There's a big couch for lounging. You can just go there and smoke a cigar right there if you need to. But Nick will help direct you as young Nick will do. They're 4th generation now, making tobacco perfect one at a time. Cuban seed tobacco at Nick's farm in Nicaragua. They didn't name it after Nick, but it's over in Nicaragua. And my favorite, the Lot 23. My friends that came from Youngstown, Ohio, love the 20th anniversary Maduro wrapper. They make them perfect one at a time. So don't hesitate. Go there today. If you can't make it, you want to go on the weekend, go online, www.perdomocigars.com to find a retailer near you that sells these great sticks. So today, tomorrow, put something great in your mouth with a cigar from Perdomo Cigars.
Excellent. Well done. All right, let's get our final player into the mix here as we will then go straight to the final round of the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge for this week. We will have the professor, speaking of tournaments, talking about his thoughts on the opening day and, of course, subsequent 16 games tomorrow in the NCAA Tournament. So we'll get a nice overview from the professor and some insight and some games we can make some money on that. And then we're loaded up. Hopefully we'll have Brandon Lang connect with us. He's out in Vegas, Gurggles, so you can excuse him for getting lost, can you not? Right?
Sure.
Some guy gets lost in Vegas, especially 6 in the morning. If we miss him, that's unfortunate because he's great on college basketball and was killing it almost all season long. And then Mark Lawrence tomorrow with the professor as part of our Degenerate Friday show. And the Greek has been getting some good steam also out of Las Vegas. So we'll have some, hopefully some plays that you can cash in on in the early rounds there. And then as your bankroll diminishes towards the end of the tournament, we'll send it all in the final game. Double or nothing, trying to get even.
There you go.
Right? If you break even, you feel good about things. All right. Here's our next set of questions. Dave Gurggles Gergely.
NBA, this center on coach's advice says, they say nobody's perfect. Then they tell you practice makes perfect. I wish the hell they'd make up their minds. What's that? Will Chamberlain, Richard Chamberlain, Neville Chamberlain, or the Neville brothers?
A little Richard Chamberlain there. All right, the scrambler lands on Pat, our good friend Pat. How are you, my friend? You're on the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge here on the Defo Show.
Hello. Wilt the stilt?
It was the stilt. Yes, very good,
sir.
Pat. Yeah.
Golf, Pat, true or false? Last weekend at the TPC, Terrell Hatton finished second, and he won $2.5 million. But a fan on FanDuel bet on Scotty Scheffler to win and won more money than Terrell Hatton did for finishing second.
Wow.
True or false?
I'll say true.
True.
It is
yes,
true.
It is true.
He bet 300,000 at 100 to 1, got back 3.3 million on Scotty Scheffler. That was pretty ballsy.
Scheffler, man. Yeah, he had to be like 9 or 10 to 1, I think, in that tournament.
It was like
I don't know if he was 100.
That's what it was.
100 to 1 would have been our man Kiridesh.
I think he was 10 to 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was like a
10 to
favorite.
1.
Yeah. All right, very good.
right.
2 for 2, going for 5.
College hoops, Pat. Which sportscaster first called the NCAA tournament March Madness?
Oh,
Was
good
that Vern Lundquist, Jim Nance, Bucky Waters, or Brent Musburger?
one. What do you think, Pat?
Are you there?
Pat. There you are.
Said Waters.
C. Waters.
Waters.
No, it was back in 1982. Brent Musburger.
I was going to say Brent.
Coined the term.
Sounds like something he would come up with. All right, going for 7 points and a time for the lead here, Pat.
All right, let's go to the NBA, and congratulations to our friend Coach Eric Spoelstra with his 697th win the other night.
Wow.
Put him 1 win ahead of whom on the all-time coaches list?
Wow.
Chuck Daly, Mike Fratello, Red Holtzman, or Mike D'Antoni?
Wow.
Red Holtzman.
Red. Wow.
Yeah,
Good
he
one.
pulled that one out. Well done.
You know what that does? That eliminates the chronic here.
Yeah, thank God.
Contention.
That's too bad.
Chronics going head to head. All right, Pat, you're in the finals.
All right, Ron and Pat going to conduct the finals. Hialeah Park, beautiful place to go. We mentioned it many times about how wonderful it is in the Champion Simulcasting Room. Triple Crown events coming up. They're right around the corner here, Dave Gurggles Gergely. Do you have a horse yet that you've zeroed in on? I know the Polyman mentioned a horse to me, and I can't remember its name.
Yeah,
so that doesn't do the people much good.
I think he wants to win Red Route, if I'm not mistaken.
Something like that.
He ran second in Arkansas and sadly to my horse with Jimmy Graham on, who paid $39, and Paulie had the second horse. We $10 exacta would have got us back about $1,700, I think.
Well, none of us needed that. Right? Yeah.
No, I had $1 exacta, but yep.
What do you see though? I mean, anything else? Forte?
I don't know. It's too early to tell.
Okay.
You know, Tappan Thrice is going to run into bluegrass, I guess, after winning the Tampa Bay Derby, and he went by him like nothing with Luis Saez on that gray horse, the 6 horse.
Yeah.
So him, Forte, they're both Pletcher. I think Pletcher's loaded. So we'll have to wait and see.
All right, and these Baffert monsters have been spread around, I guess. What is it? One guy, is it a Japanese trainer or something that takes all of these horses?
Yeah.
That Baffert's not allowed to enter in the Derby?
Yep.
Okay.
Yakinawa or something like that, yeah.
Something like that, yeah. All right, and, it'll be interesting. There's still a couple of big prep races, including the Florida Derby coming up, and we'll be previewing that with Mike Mayo's Lunchbox edition out there on a Friday. So
April 1st, I think that is.
Yeah, yep. Looking forward. A couple of weeks away from the Florida Derby, the signature event there of the Gulfstream meet. All right, it's the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. You can bet all of these races at Hialeah Park Champion Simulcasting Room, which is just phenomenal. I mean, the setup there is absolutely fantastic. It is far and away my favorite simulcasting room of any, and I'm a veteran of many, a simulcast facility, including that Jamaica OTB parlor, where, I did have an epiphany that day, and I realized I'm one of them, which Desperado. All right, we ready to go, Lubie, with the finals? Okay, very good. We have Ron, we have Pat. Guys, Gurggles is going to fire off the question. Call out your name if you want to answer right away. If nobody answers right away, we'll offer multiple choice. The first person to call out his name gets first choice. We go back and forth until we have a winner. Good luck, gentlemen, for the championship of today's edition.
I actually called Lenny. Lenny, I know you hear me. You aren't in.
Oh, okay. Very good. Wow, automatically conceded the final round to the Chronic here.
While you're waiting, don't forget that this week is, I think, a big weekend. Gulfstream's got some big races, but next week is the big preps at the fairgrounds in Louisiana.
Oh, yeah.
They're big prep races for the Derby. So as you're getting ready for the Florida Derby, April 1st, mark these 2 weekends down. Next weekend for sure is the big weekend at the fairgrounds. And
You'll be betting Jimmy Graham every race. I mean, you bet Jimmy Graham the way I used to bet Dr. Jerry Graham in professional wrestling. Yeah.
He's second to the kid who rode pretty good in New York and went there, Raylu Gutierrez, who rides. He's the leading rider by a long shot at the fairgrounds.
Yeah, the guy, he definitely, turns up in some significant spots and performs very well. All right, we are now ready for the finals. The actual finalists are in contention here.
Look at that. But for Chronic, at least I'm getting nicer. He won a thing last week. I, by accident, put him in the finals. You can't say I'm...
Subliminal, guilt that you have. I mean, being Jewish like I am, I know how it works. And all of a sudden, you feel like you have to be overwhelmingly nice to Lenny the Chronic after dumping on him for the last 24 years.
Pretty much.
Incredible. Shutting him out of every possible situation. Gurggles nails him with the ABA questions. His area of expertise, I guess, is not like the NHL of the 60s. That frequently comes up. And I don't know where you're going with the final question, Gurgs, but the stage is yours, my friend.
Oh, you'll like this one.
Yeah.
You'll like this one. You ready,
right,
guys?
Good luck,
Here we
guys.
go.
Here we go.
Yeah, they're there.
Baseball. Of all the major league teams, only 2 make their players pay for Wi-Fi on an airplane while they're traveling. The Cincinnati Reds are one.
Well,
and
we know
the other one is...
Pat already yelled his name.
Oh.
Pat yelling his name 7 times.
Pat. Who was it?
Good choices.
The Yankees.
Yankees. Wow.
The one you wouldn't have thought of. The Yankees. Yep. Well done, Pat.
Wow.
Going to go Marlins. I mean, of course, cheapskate bastards that they are.
Good job.
Although we love them. Tommy Hutton, a dear friend of ours. We're rooting for him.
Hey, Ron.
Let's go. All right, that was well scoped out there. And an excellent game, Gurggles. Nice job by you, and thank you so much for coming back this week. Wow. 2 weeks in a row of me staggering through this. I looked like Wepner the 15th round against Ali, and that was on the first caller, and by the time we got to the end there, it was a complete crapshoot and a disaster. And then, I can't multitask at all anymore. I mean, it was already difficult for me when we were doing the radio shows, but keeping score and everything and track of what was going on.
That's hard enough.
That's what
You're steering the boat. We'll just help. And I see Andy said Art Fleming was the best Jeopardy host. Andy, a little bit of trivia. Art Fleming is the first inductee into the Trivia Hall of Fame.
Is that right?
Remember that one, Andy.
All right, here's one for you. Who was the first team ever to win an NCAA basketball championship? 1939.
That would have been, is it Oklahoma State?
Close. Oregon. Started
Oklahoma.
with an O. Yeah.
Who?
Oregon was the first ever winner.
Oregon Ducks. Okay.
Ah, okay.
I looked that up. Yeah, they were quacking, man, in 1939.
And I have an autographed jersey by a guy from Oregon State who was the only player to win a Heisman and play in the Final Four.
Wow.
Terry Baker, quarterback the 49ers.
Never would have
got an autographed jersey, and I think that might be worth something. Most people say Charlie Ward, but he only made the Elite Eight.
Yeah.
How about Dick Groat, man? Dick Groat, wasn't he prominent with like Duke or something?
He played with Duke. Did
he make a
or
Final
the guy
Four,
Bob
Dick
Bender?
Groat?
How about Bob Bender? Bob Bender as a player won a championship with 2 different teams. That's another one. But those are for future dates. I got to go back to work.
Yeah, we don't want to blow last week's show. All right, thanks, Gurgs. Always a pleasure. Dave Gurggles Gergely, ladies and gentlemen. All right, the professor coming up.
I always text him before he comes out, and
he's out cold.
Are you coherent? And I usually get a yes. As of yet, I have not gotten a yes.
All right. Well,
so I can try him.
It's a good sign that maybe he's incoherent, which
that's what I'm assuming.
Is perfectly understandable at this time in the morning because the professor is a late night guy.
Oh, he bets.
Professor doesn't crank. I mean, I'm always amazed when he's up early in the morning to do the Degenerate Friday shows because it's not his game. It really isn't. He's watching those late West Coast games, man. He should have been the co-host on the Eddie Kaplan show.
Honestly, him and Eddie K would have worked.
Him and Eddie K would have been classic together, man. Especially they're both very strongly opinionated and unlikely to shake the other loose of whatever position it was that they were in originally. And both capable, even if they're on opposite sides, of making excellent arguments for their position. Which wouldn't that have made for a perfect talk show? The professor and Eddie Kaplan. We'll have to reunite them on a podcast.
He was a big Eddie K fan. He was.
Everybody was, man. The Capper was a man's man. He was just a good guy. All right, we're coming back with more right here in a moment. I'm Jeff DeForest.
By the way, we're not sending him off. He just doesn't do radio anymore. Eddie K is alive.
Oh, the Capper, no, very much alive, man. He looks the same. He looks the same as he did 50 years ago. It's absolutely incredible. Last time I saw him, anyway, which was several years ago at some boxing match that I was at, Capper came strolling in, and the exact same pace he had on the tennis court when we were doing the Alzheimer's Cup. We're coming back with more here on the show. We do have the tournament. We'll try and get into it somewhat here. As I don't know. I mean, so far so good for me. Maybe this is a bad omen because I had an opinion on 3 of the 4 play-in games. A vague opinion, but an opinion nonetheless, because I'd seen or heard something about the teams that I would have been backing. This Fairleigh Dickinson, I was reading a story about the coach there today, and this is a guy that was in like a Division II forever with St. Thomas Aquinas. Have you ever heard of them?
I mean,
St. Thomas Aquinas?
Yeah, isn't it down here?
No. Is he coaching here? Yeah, okay. Maybe that was it.
St. Thomas University, that in Miami. How many St. Thomas? I mean, there may be others.
How many could there be, right? Tobin Anderson is the guy's name. Was he coaching down here at St. Thomas? Was that the school they were talking about? I didn't even connect that up. I think that would be the deal, right?
You sound like Cerny. Like I'm supposed to keep track of St. Thomas. I didn't even know.
Would you even known they had a basketball team? I didn't even know the school existed anymore since the Dolphins moved out of there.
Yeah, no.
I just remember the facilities. I mean, you talk about Betty Davis coming in and giving the classic line and Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf. What a dump. That place was a dump. I thought I got lost when I went there the first time. I'm driving around. I'm in Mr. California. Just got here, got a job. I was all happy. I was working at 940 Winds. I thought, wow, I mean, the world is my oyster here. Roll out the first day to get some sound, as they call it, from Dolphins training camp. And then was stuck in that pothole that was in the parking lot. And I'm thinking, I have to be in the wrong place. There's no way that a major professional sports team, one with the illustrious history of the Miami Dolphins, which their glory years were not so much in the distant past then. This was like circa 1981. They had just gone back-to-back in the Super Bowl. 8 years prior, they had Don Shula at the helm. And you get to St. Thomas, you're like, wow. I mean, this place isn't equipped to, be a facility for some junior high school. Incredible. Dolphins practicing there. So I didn't know they had a basketball team. But if they did, and this guy was coaching it, he has really made a name for himself quickly. Tobin Anderson, who now has to go with Fairleigh Dickinson, the Knights, going against Purdue, which won't be easy. All right, this is great. We do have the professor with us, so we'll get some insight into what's going on with the professor with the college basketball tournament. Come back with that in a moment. Now that.
The time.
It's 8:20.
Folks, Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. All those ingredients, no pun meant there, are hard to find unless you're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. You see, they encompass all of those attributes. Really, really good food, amazing atmosphere, good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs unmatched. Steaks hand-cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. It's the one day, folks, that you can forget about low-carb diets. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
This comes from the great Defo Lama. It's the bets you don't make, the chances you don't take, that can compromise an otherwise incredible life, my friend.
The only way to get your morning started is with Defo, joined by Lubie, right here on the Defo Show.
All right, welcome back to the show. We did connect up with the professor, who appears to be more than coherent here, as we welcome him to the program on the. It's not even the eve anymore. We're right around the corner here. We're a couple of hours away from tipping off the NCAA Tournament for 2023. Professor, how are you? How excited are you for today? Do you have some games that we can go all Luganis and just dive all in on?
No. I mean, come on. What there's games today? I'm very confused.
What do you think?
Come on. Yeah. What do you? I mean, look. What do I think? I mean, the Thursday and Friday, the first Thursday and Friday of the NCAA tournament, are
best days in sports.
My opinion, might be the best days in sports of the year. Like they're very up there. You're going to start at noon. You're probably going to be up well past midnight. I don't necessarily know 100% who they're going to be, but you're going to get some big upsets and some emotional spots. I mean, what's better than these next 2 days?
It's great. Now, have you taken in these festivities in Las Vegas ever? Gone out there? Because a lot of people like to do that for the first couple of days of the tournament.
I did it once, and I got to be honest, it's a lot. I mean,
yeah.
It depends on what kind of person you are. I guess it's one of those days of the year in Vegas where everything is kind of overwhelming. So unless you've made like private arrangements like the Duke made for us that time we were out there for the Super Bowl, which was, I mean, like an amazing job by him. Otherwise, like it's a lot. Like there's every sports book's crowded. Everybody's, going hard. It starts at like 9 o'clock in the morning out there.
Right,
so yeah, I'm really more of a like at home or local bar guy for this event as opposed to something like Vegas. I think it's a little too much actually.
All right. Do you also feel, as much as it's the most entertaining part, possibly of the sports calendar, that it is among the best betting opportunities?
Absolutely. Number one, like who doesn't love to look? As stupid as they are, and as much as I never managed to win one, who doesn't love filling out a bracket? I don't think I've won a bracket literally since high school. I won one when I was like in the 11th grade. I'm not sure I ever
cashed,
and I don't think I've won. I've cashed a few times, but like actually won one. I don't think I've won one since like the 11th grade. But who doesn't love to do that? And then game by game, there's always opportunities pretty much every day. I personally, in terms of that game by game, like the 16s forward a little bit more than I do opening day. But there is there's always good shots.
All right, I'm looking at the bottom rung there, and actually the biggest disparity games, trying to figure out where do you start jumping in with some upsets. How deep do you think that goes? I mean, I was looking at a very weird proposition bet. You get 5-1 if you think that one of the 16s will win their opening game.
You get 5-1.
Seemed very, very, very small in terms of odds, does it not?
You get 5-1 on teams. What is it? Like
these teams look like they're primed to get. I mean, this is going to be a human sacrifice. These games, are they not?
It's like a collective 147-1, and I think outside of that, it's been close maybe 3 or 4 times in history. That would be a batshit insane.
Bad, okay, and it was only like plus 250, I believe. I don't know, where these odds were coming from. Obviously, from somebody that was trying to run some kind of scam or so. That a 15 would beat a 2. I mean, less than 3-1 on that, Professor.
I mean, that's been a little bit more frequent through the years. I think that's happened something like 6 times in the history of the tournament. But I don't think this year that's particularly live play. I think the 2s are a pretty strong batch this year.
All right. So what do you see at that level? I mean, do you? I mean, where are you picking your first monumental type of upset?
Yeah. What are you doing with upset?
Have you looked at it from that angle yet?
I really don't look at it from that angle.
Okay.
Like I said, when I fill out my bracket, I'm not the guy you want to follow anyway.
Okay.
I would say, actually, you know what? I'm gonna have to pull up a bracket to even make a guess at that. I don't necessarily see a ton of super low seed upsets coming in this first round. I think what you've got is a bunch of incredibly competitive games through, say, the 5-3-12 level and up. But you get to the 4s and yeah, I mean, I think all the 12s are very live here. So as much as that's sort of the historical one where everybody looks, I think that's very apt here. Again, the Greek will hate me because he loves all the scummiest teams in the world. But Mr. Patriots and Duke there will get mad when I say I think Oral Roberts does have a live chance against Duke, and it's reflected in the point spread. People down here won't like it when I say I think Drake is very live against the University of Miami. Drake, a team that is actually older. I heard a great stat the other day. They're average older than 4 NBA teams. Drake's average is 23.7 years old.
Yeah.
So
they have a 25-year-old guy, Blutarski. I think he's a 6 foot. No, he might be 5'9", 300-pound guard.
And then even though I actually did pick San Diego State to go pretty deep in my bracket, I will say that they have a tough first-round game against a very live Charleston team. And then like VCU and St. Mary's, I'm not even sure St. Mary's should be favored in that game. I'm not 100% convinced VCU is not the better team. We'll see that this afternoon. So I think that all the 12s are live. I'm looking here. I don't necessarily see a live 14 against a 3. There are probably some people who want to make a case for Kennesaw State just because Xavier played such a bad game in their last game. But I think Xavier will bounce back. They're a pretty tough team. Let me look at the 4-13s real quick. Okay. I don't necessarily agree with it. In fact, I was going to talk about that one game just to kind of warn people off a little bit. But Furman against Virginia today is a very public underdog. Everybody I know is all over Furman. I'm not sure if that's about the points. I think they're getting 5.5, or if that's about they think there's a legitimate chance of an upset, or people just don't like watching Virginia play because nobody enjoys Bennett basketball.
Yeah.
But a lot of people talking up Furman with a live shot to go against UVA. I tend to disagree with that. The super underdog that everybody that gets super public, people don't necessarily come in that often. One other one I look at just because they're so offensively inconsistent would be Tennessee is a 4, playing a very live Louisiana team. Tennessee, they can have some nights on offense that just make you cringe. I mean, they play a lot of games in the 50s, so I wouldn't be stunned to see Louisiana go into the last minutes of that game with a shot to win. So, I mean, again, I don't know about super upsets, but you got a lot of live dogs on the 12 and 13 line to be sure.
Yeah, you would have to think. I was looking. I didn't think they happened. At 15 versus 2. But maybe
Well,
14-3.
I mean, you're a Syracuse fan, so you remember the Spiders years ago.
Oh yeah, no, that was ugliness.
So
what's it happened? 2 or 3 times? 15 versus a 2.
5 or 6, Ken said.
I was gonna say I think it's like 5 or 6 in history.
Okay.
There's
it's not like every year. It's not.
There was your Richmond. There was Cleveland State before that.
Yeah.
I want to say it was a Coppin State.
I think Louisville went down.
And then somebody beat Iowa State when they were 2 with Marcus.
Didn't Duke go down to Lehigh? Didn't the CJ McCollum team?
I don't know if that was a 15. I think that might have been a 3-14, but I could be wrong on that.
Always love the early round stunner, though. First game stunner.
Everybody does. I mean, that again, we've talked about it when it comes to the NCAA tournament a bunch of times. What you want is the first 2 games there to be a bunch of upsets, and then the 16th forward, you want the big boys to sort of get their shit together and come out and take over. Because, really, when George Mason gets smoked in the Final Four, it was a fun run for them to get there, but you don't necessarily enjoy watching them lose by 30 in that Final Four game.
No, it was ugliness, but nonetheless, made for a great story, and it's still, we get a little illumination on some of that from Jim Larinaga earlier this week, and he's in tough, as you said. We talked to a guy, I mentioned this a few times because the guy seems to know what he's talking about. Scott Spinelli, I don't know if you're familiar with him. He was a former college coach. Now does a podcast on the Believe Network, which we're on. So we've had him on a few different times, and he always kind of impresses me with his depth of knowledge of what's going on in college basketball. And before this matchup was made, he mentioned Drake to us as one of his, not necessarily a team to win it all, but a team to sort of be this year's St. Peter's with a shot to do that, or Loyola of Chicago. I mean, I think even Sister Jean was seen in the vicinity of Drake's campus. But
well, that's not a good thing. We finally got rid of her. I don't want to see there to be a return.
Yeah. Well, we had done some research on that and found out that she once ran a brothel outside of Reno, and that this pure image that she was projecting there is a link to God. It was right up there with any of the fraudulent evangelists that we've seen on TV over the years, including Joel Osteen. What do you make of this team, though? I mean, they got the coach's son, who's averaging like 19. They got this 25-year-old kid. Now, is he not their leading scorer? I think Larinaga was telling us the 25-year-old guy is their leading scorer. Which
I want to go back to the coach's son.
Why is he still in school?
Yeah. To a discussion that.
Yeah.
Well, why is he still in school? Because after the COVID year, they're letting everybody stay in college for 17 years. Like, if you're not an NBA player at this point, I think you can play college basketball for like 8 or 9 years. And honestly,
and make money.
If your future is, the ninth guy on a bad roster in the Turkish league, why not stay in college somewhere and enjoy yourself and have access to the co-eds and get paid? Like, it's a pretty good deal if you're not an NBA guy at this point. But I want to go back to the coaches thing, because DeVries is another one of these small college coaches, whose kid is playing for him. Have you ever noticed that these basketball coaches, particularly when in like a smaller, more obscure school like Doug McDermott from a few years back, all the guys are like 6'8". Like, and it's always like a normal size coach. It's like a 6'1" or 6'2" coach. So I have a question here, which is there some bar in Iowa where if you're like an Ohio Valley assistant basketball coach, you just go in the off season when you're not recruiting to meet tall women? Is there some place where like every 6'4" chick who doesn't play in the WNBA just goes and hangs out to meet assistant basketball coaches so these guys can all have 6'7" sons? Like, what the hell is going on with that?
Dare I bring it up? Because we want to get your selections, but dare I bring it up? Duke, which we talked about the Duke-Miami game. Miami obviously compromised by Omier going down early, and they didn't have much presence on the boards, which makes me think, okay. I saw the kid jumping around.
And it's cited correctly on the show, didn't get very much help from the refs in that game either.
Oh, my, that one possession. Remember
it wasn't one possession. It was, like 30 free throws throughout the course of the game. I mean, that Duke didn't do a good job of taking advantage of Omier getting hurt in the first, minute 20 or whatever it was. But got a lot of help from the Stripes again. A rich tradition continues. In the
I thought Billis was calling the game. There was that one where they called Wong for a foul when it looked like he had forced a jump ball. And then on that same possession, the ball goes off of a Duke player, clearly. I mean, and they take no, time to look at that or even get together. They immediately give the ball to Duke. I mean, they may as well have just handed it to Billis and let him make the free throws. It did seem a little bit biased. The Canes hung in there, though. I don't know. Can they win a game without Omier in the lineup there? Because they really got killed on the boards late in that game.
I think I don't think it'll be the boards. I think it'll be defending. But because Drake, while not super athletic and not on the boards, they are actually pretty big across the board. They don't really have a standout big, but you look at their average size and they sort of do it in cumulative, and they're a pretty big roster. But yeah, can the Canes win? Yes, because of guard play, because of Wong and the rest of that backcourt. They can win the game. Will they win the game? I think that's a lot trickier. Again, Drake, a team that can really shoot the eyes out of the basketball.
All right, let's get into it. The professor with us, and we want to make some money, and it's all about the fabulous moolah, and we want to have some fun. So what are we looking at in terms of, I guess, games today, obviously, and then tomorrow, you can get into it. But if you want to give an advance notice, a heads up on a Friday game, that's cool with us too, because that there's always hope then if we go down in flames. But what are you looking at, Professor, today?
I think we're looking at a bunch of the mid-level game spots, and I think there's some good ones. And I'm going to go anti-public in the first two games. One I'm going to take, one I'm just going to warn you off of. I'm warning you off of Furman. Again, pretty much everybody's talking this one up. The one that everybody talks up almost never happens. And then you look at this game, it's all about pace. Furman, a very fast-paced team. UVA We've seen them a very brutal to watch pace game. So again, UVA very good at forcing their own pace. We've seen that throughout the years with Tony Bennett, and then with his father Dick before that at Wisconsin and Wisconsin Green Bay. Be careful with this game. Again, everybody's taking the 5.5. If UVA can slow Furman down, and I think they absolutely will, then the 5.5 is very possible. I wouldn't go as far as say lay the 5.5, but I would warn people off that game just because everybody's all over it.
All right.
The first one I will take, West Virginia and Maryland. West Virginia laying 3. West Virginia, a pretty simple team. In the last half of the year, they have played up and down to their level of competition. I do not think they'll play that high level against Maryland, so I'm taking the points and the Terps +3. Maryland, again, pretty simple team. They beat the teams they should beat. They lose to the games they should lose. I think they'll be very competitive against the West Virginia team, who, like I said, has been up and down all year. I think you're looking probably at a slower pace game that favors the Terps and the 3 points in the first game of the day.
All right, very good. Any others?
No, we're just going to leave it one. We're just going to leave it now. Then later this evening, I believe it's the 6:50 tip. I think it's the first of the evening games.
All right.
I like Auburn here. I actually think Auburn will be a live dog in the second round too. But Auburn laying 1.5 to an Iowa team I have not really particularly liked all year long. The Tigers actually closed the season playing well, come off a big win over Alabama to finish out the regular season, easily taking Auburn and 1.5 in an 8-9 matchup there. Skip down Penn State, Texas A&M. Penn State shot the eyes out of the ball in the Big Ten tournament. And actually finished well, really, in the latter half. Won kind of a couple of must-win games coming on. I think Penn State actually got maybe a little underseeded. I would say on the whole, the Big Ten maybe got a little underseeded throughout the tournament. Although Rutgers fans who were crushed not to get in, disappointed in their performance in the NIT. Although, if you have noticed lately, that's been happening on a pretty regular basis. Those teams that are the first let out usually go off the board pretty early in the NIT. So I'm not taking that as a bad trend for the Big Ten here. Penn State +2.5 over Texas A&M. I don't love the SEC teams the way some people do, although I'm about to go turn around and go pick one in a minute here. On the whole, if you're looking to fade a conference, I don't think the SEC is necessarily a bad conference to fade here. I think they, on the other hand, were a little overseeded here. So we'll go against them and take Penn State +2.5.
All right. Penn State, the pick of the professor.
Evening tip. Boise State, Northwestern. Again, Northwestern, much like West Virginia, a team that plays up and down to the level of their competition. I don't think they're going to bother Boise State with the slow pace. Boise seems to be able to play that. And Boise, a very big team inside, rebound the ball very well. I think that'll play well against Northwestern, who is not a super efficient offensive team. So I'll take Boise plus the 1.5 there against Northwestern. And finally, another 8-9 matchup. Arkansas, a team I like, against Illinois, a team I do not like. Illinois way over dependent on the 3 ball, and Arkansas defends the 3 exceptionally well. Their player Black, the point guard, who, if you've seen him, he kind of has a game like Steve Smith, although he's also got the craziest hair in the country. But a player I 100% like. And I wouldn't be surprised again to see Arkansas as competitive in the second round here. So I'll take the Hogs -2. Woo Pig Suey to finish the evening.
All right, the professor going to be in considerable action today. Answer our sports talk topical question of the week on the local scene here. If we were back on 940 wins and we were doing what the program director would like us to do, who has a better chance to go deeper in the tournament, FAU or Miami?
Miami by a lot.
Yeah.
FAU is going to get crushed.
They get.
I think FAU had a great
in the first round. You see them going down.
Had a great season, but I do not think they'll be competitive with Memphis at all. I think they caught a really bad matchup against a Memphis team that's coming into the tournament playing really, really well.
Right, and they would meet Purdue, I guess, in the second round if they got that far. So I'm hoping. What do you think of Indiana though? If Miami survives the Drake game and Indiana wins over Kent State, do you like them at all?
I think Miami, they're very beatable. They would be a backcourt versus a front court matchup, with Miami definitely having an advantage in the backcourt, which is always positive in the NCAA tournament. The problem, as you mentioned, would be if Omier can play. If Omier can't play, Miami will not be able to defend Indiana's front court at all. It'll be a problem even if Omier was 100%, we know he's not going to be 100%. It'll be a matter of if he can go, if Miami will have a chance to win that game.
All right, Professor. Where will you be taking these in? At the Foundry with the Chardonnay? And well, you with the beer, probably.
With a Chardonnay? No,
Chardonnay, yeah. Well, I was hoping you would have a glass saved for me. Yeah.
The show. I don't know where I'm taking them in yet. We'll figure it out as the day goes along.
Okay, I might want to join you there for some of the activity. That would be great.
Well, if you do, shoot me a text, and I'll definitely meet you over there.
Okay, sounds good. Professor, thank you. We'll talk to you again tomorrow with the big board and more NCAA conversation. Thanks so much for being with us.
See you, Dave.
All right, thanks a lot. The Professor, ladies and gentlemen. All right, we're going to come back with more here. I'm going to give you guys, introduce you again to a friend of mine who bailed me out of what would have been a real tough spot, which I should not have been in, and I should not have been underneath the monumental scrutiny that I was facing and trying to secure a few dollars that I needed just to, go ahead and bridge the gap of time there until the cash was flowing even more heavily. And whatever the reason is that you need money. Now, Lubie, you're flush now, right? No problems whatsoever? Because you got the wife out traveling the world making money.
That's not me. We're very separate when it comes to finances. So no, I'm not flush. I always went to the accountant. Believe me, I'm not flush.
We like people on this show that do a remarkable job. It's one of the great things about doing a Mike Mayo Lunchbox show is that you look at the sincere efforts of the people in the restaurant industry. I mean, talking to Pat Utter yesterday, wasn't that great? I mean, the stuff that he does, in 20 years, he's working every restaurant there by the Fort Lauderdale Beach and Martha's and all these other places that were classic joints here. And now, he ended up owning two great spots, and even after getting hosed by a greedy landlord, and had to give up a place that he had run for 30 years, he said, you know what? It's even easier now, right? The people that were going there, they're traveling the extra couple of miles to go to Shenanigans. It was absolutely fantastic. But, and they have, wow. Can you imagine this day, St. Patty's Day at a sports pub, as he called it. And at the same time, you've got, all these NCAA games, 16 games going on tomorrow. And that's going to be happening. So he's already at 2 tons of corned beef. That was great, man. But, you see the sincerity with which these people approach their business. And he was telling us a story about how he went from a dishwasher to where he is today. Yep. He's forever grateful for the fact that he understands what it's like to come from nothing and make it big. And all of these different people we talk to, you love the fact that they're so dedicated to what they do. And it's one of the nice things about the show. And that's when I found out about Michael Conci, who I'm going to introduce you to in just a couple of minutes. When we come back in a moment here on a Defo Show. Now that.
The time.
You need money? How much juice can you pay? It's 8:45. Ponies in Style at Champions, the outstanding simulcasting room at beautiful Hialeah Park. Yes, the grand old lady of thoroughbred racing has never been more vibrant, and you can wager on the races from the top tracks around the country while enjoying a cocktail at the Brass Rail Bar or any of the fine food served throughout the facility. If poker is your game, you're covered in style. And you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
Hey folks, Tony Segreto here. Since day one, Catholic Health Services has been part of Old School. And since we've started letting people know about them, it's changed their lives. You see, Catholic Health Services, while being recognized as one of the top places for stroke rehab in the country, it's also about a group of people who not just excel in what they do, from the doctors to the nurses to the therapist, on and on and on. It's how they do what they do every single day that separates them from the pack. They do it with a passion, unmatched, and the inclusion of family in every step of the process. Trust me when I tell you this. If you want the best, unmatched rehab with a special group of skilled, caring people, there is truly only one place, and that one place is Catholic Health Services.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubber's Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. First of all, they're not only open for delivery and pickup. All you have to do is go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both pickup and free delivery. Their hours have changed a little bit. Monday through Thursday from 3:30 to 10. And Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 11:30 to 10, you're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers, Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Don't gamble in anger.
She hit the daily.
Very calm. Think it through. If you need a little
gamble in
help, don't
anger.
gamble in anger. It
I
never works.
get a panic phone call, and he says, "Do you have any extra cash?" I go, "Yeah, I brought money with me to Atlantic City." He goes, "Well, I can't get any more out of the card because the Mustang
shut
went
up,
wild and emptied the daily allotment of cash."
Double nickels, man. She went for a nickel on her card and a nickel on mine.
The best way to kick off your day is with Defo plus Lubie. We now return to the Defo Show.
Or banking red tape right there, right? So you can't access your own cash when you're desperate in need of having some capital in your hands. I faced sort of a crisis situation, Lubie, and you're aware of this. I discussed it many times. My frustration with dealing with my own bank, which had always been very good to me. Now, this was a different department, different people involved, the loan department, which also, I don't know, they're calling some woman who is, administrating this out of some boiler room in Guam. I don't know what the heck they were doing. And it wasn't happening. It was taking forever. And so I was one step away from going on the streets and maybe having to pay like 6% a week. And then I remembered, wow, Choice Mortgage Bank, Michael Kotze, you hear his ads all the time on the radio. And I know Michael, and, I've known him for a long time. And I hadn't done business with him like this before. But, wow, talk about getting a job done, Lubie. No nonsense. If we had Michael Kotze on our side publicizing this show, we would already be a monster. We welcome Michael to the program here. Michael Kotze, how are you, my friend?
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing well. Is there an office pool, just out of curiosity, at Choice Mortgage Bank? I mean, do you guys have any kind of a bracket thing going?
I didn't do the bracket this year, but I'm really rooting for FAU. Excited about watching them and following them. So I did not do a bracket, but I'm really rooting hard for the Owls.
Let's see what happens. With that, we just don't know. We were just talking to one of our handicapping buddies, and he wasn't high on their chances of getting out of the first round of the tournament here. Michael, of course, we've spent a lot of time together talking back and forth, and actually it turned out not to be as much time as it easily could have been if I was dealing with anybody else but you. How are you able to arrange these loans at Choice Mortgage Bank so quickly?
The difference between me and your big banks is not only my service, but my competitive interest rates. The rates are really competitive right now. It's a great time to lock in. My rates right now are in the 5s, bank rates, because of their overhead and because of their national status. Those rates are in the high 6s. So my interest rates are lower. Remember, Jeff, I don't just work banking hours. I work after hours. I work on the weekends. I work on Sundays. I work on Fridays, Saturdays. Chances are I know your real estate agent. We've been in business for 30 plus years. And, that's when you're able to do your due diligence. You can't handle your mortgage affairs when you're on the air. So let's use you, for example. You come to the office. I work after hours with you, or early in the morning, on a Sunday during Super Bowl. That's the way I work. When you're calm, when you're collected, and when you're with your spouse and you could think and you're not distracted at work, you don't have your supervisor over your shoulder, you don't have deadlines, that's when you can make the right decisions, especially with something so important as refinancing your home, pulling cash out of your house to pay off credit card debt, to make home improvements, to repair your roof, because these insurance rates are astronomical right now. And you know that better than anybody.
Yeah.
To get, the insurance quotes are, everybody's complaining with this high inflationary issue that we're all experiencing with insurance, with property taxes. Everything's more expensive. So if you have equity in your home, and I want your listeners to listen to this very closely, if you have equity in your home, now is the time to refinance. I could lock you in at low fixed rates because the rates are going up. The Fed's meeting next week, again, to raise the rates one more time, or maybe not one more time, but once again. And like you said out there, if you guys need to consolidate these high interest rate credit card debts at 30%, if you need cash out to buy another property, if you want to pull cash out to make home improvements, to repair your roof, to make any of these repairs to keep your insurance premiums lower, call me at 561-441-2730. That's 561-441-2730. And remember, I also accept texting, so you could certainly text. And the beauty of this is my personal cell phone, Jeff.
Yeah.
You're not calling a big bank, getting looped around. You're not calling a secretary. You're not calling a automated phone service. You are calling me, the CEO and president of Choice Mortgage. So I will pick up your phone. I will talk to you. I will communicate with you, and we will engage. And as you know, my service is impeccable. Check out Choice Mortgage Reviews when you go to Google, Choice Mortgage Reviews, and you could see my almost 5-star rating and service.
I can vouch for all of that. I'm not just saying that because, this wasn't happening. The Mustang was one step away from calling Phil Rizzuto at the money store on this, and my wife, and of course, she was very skeptical because I'd been dealing with the bank for like 4 or 5 months and just kept getting run around in circles. And I was in good status, like I said, with these people. I mean, and they were very favorable. They were encouraging me to continue to go ahead and meet whatever requirements they had to get this loan, assuring me that it would already have been approved. Nothing, nada. And then I said, well, I'm going to call Michael Conti. She didn't know you. And she's like, oh, okay, yeah, and I could tell there was some resistance there. And then sure enough, when she came in your office, she saw you on the phone in like 3 seconds, Lubie. Michael cuts down like all of the red tape. I mean, that was going on from one of these organizations that wouldn't give him the last piece of information he needed. Gets it right away, and then bingo. Like a week later, we had our cash. Fantastic job. All right, the phone number again. I mean, and this is for anybody. Like you said, you have all kinds of different programs. And the other thing that's also remarkable is, you talk about red tape. Nothing worse than dealing with a condo association. And you were able to take on all of those challenges as well. So, whatever. Go ahead.
Yeah, I know how to handle the condo associations. We specialize in condo lending, so we know all the nuances and who to get to and how to do it and how to. And you experienced that firsthand. It is not easy dealing with these HOs, these condo commandos, if you will. They're difficult. They don't work full days. They're part-time. They're cranky. They're crotchety, if you will.
Yeah.
And we know how to work with them. We specialize in condo lending. So any of your listeners out there that owns a condo and has equity in there, you must call me if you're looking to pull any cash out. Remember, we also do reverse mortgages, not specifically on condos, but on single family homes. So if you're 62 and over and you have equity and you're in a little bit of a cash crunch, you don't feel like going back to work, you're retired, you don't feel like, bagging groceries at Publix, or working at the library, we'll give you that extra cash flow every month. It's almost like an annuity, which is collateralized by your property. So we do reverse mortgages for 62 and over, specifically for single family homes that have equity. So any of your listeners there that have equity and 62 and over, we do reverse mortgages. And of course, we also do cash out. Now, the other thing I want to point out is not everybody has excellent credit. Not everybody has excellent income documentation. So we also do no income verification loans. And that's been very popular right now. Not everybody is a W-2 employee. And I know a lot of people out there have sophisticated situations and sophisticated tax returns. So this is where we come in and are able to pull equity out of your home without asking a lot of questions. And it's a beautiful thing. We're really busy, thankfully, in this economy. And now is the time, like I said, if you want to refinance and take advantage of the rates, or if you're a first-time home buyer, we're really good at that as well, or a veteran. Remember, veterans get 100% financing. That's no money down.
Wow. If
you're a vet out there and you want to purchase a property, no money down, Jeff. 0 money down. And sellers could pay up to 5% seller concessions. So could you imagine buying a home and not having to come up with anything?
That's my kind of deal. I mean, I'm going to enlist, I think, to take advantage of my next home purchase. Michael, a nice way of characterizing my situation there, with the tax returns. That was well put. As always, a pleasure, my friend. Thank you. Lubie can sense it's a different me since you came into my life on the business side. And you're a great guy to deal with, and everything you say is absolutely the truth. I mean, I'm texting this guy Lubie at like 3 a.m. on Super Bowl Sunday. It's like, and who do you like, and how's my money situation looking? And he would immediately respond. He was just great. Michael, thanks for being with us. The number again
Very much.
is 561-441-2730. 561-441-2730. Text him, call him.
Yes, sir.
He's the man.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great day, and feel free to text me and or call me.
All right. Thanks so much, Michael Conci. I had to do that, because a lot of people are in the same spot, right, Lou? I don't know if you've had to consider, like, well, you just got this mortgage. I don't know how much runaround did you get? And you have, like, impeccable credit and a wife that's making hundreds of thousands.
There was lots of money, and credit was good, and it still didn't matter. The way the market is, it was really tough. It was tougher to get a mortgage. And then also insurance was a pain in the ass. So we actually worked with another guy, and he was very similar to Michael, where he'd been in the business a long time.
This guy's great.
Did a great. He helped us with our townhouse, and then he just helped us with this house, and he helped us get insurance, which we thought shouldn't be a problem because this house is in good condition, and it was a pain in the ass. So right now the market's really weird. So finding someone that knows what they're doing, like Michael Kotze, is really helpful.
It was the only way this was happening for me, and I really needed it to happen because my financial circumstances had sort of changed a little bit for the worse. But it wasn't like it was a situation that was going to be long lasting. And just all of a sudden you need a burst of cash there. Also, we were in the middle of a renovation of our kitchen when we bought this joint, and we had just gone through the demolition phase. When we didn't have the capital to do the rest of it. And it's like, okay, great. So who needs cabinets, right? Our dishes are stacked on top of the refrigerator, Libby. I mean, who wants to live like that forever? So, while we have this great place here, we were able to do some of the stuff. And then, it got to be prohibitive. And all of a sudden, our cash flow changed a little bit. And now we're on track. But nonetheless, this was a lifesaver, this Michael Kotze guy for me. I mean, absolutely great. Wasn't happening with the bank. They were still asking for documents that would be impossible to produce. And you're thinking, how is this even happening, right? Got big equity in the home, good credit scores, can verify some income, and nothing, not a senor. You would think it would be simple. And he got me a lower rate also than any of the banks were offering. 561-441-2730, Michael Kotze. All right, we're going to try and catch up with Brandon Lang, right?
Yes.
And what's the status on Defo on 5? Are we doing one of those today too? Or
well, I talked to Scoop. We'll be back running tomorrow morning.
Okay.
There will be our conversations with Dave Hyde and Coach Jim Larinaga will be on 5 Reasons.
Oh, good. I mean, that Larinaga was tremendous, especially before the game.
Tomorrow. Yep.
You want to get some insight into the ball game. I mean, he really, it was fantastic. I mean, and he didn't ever mention the officials in the Duke game. You got to give him credit for that. I mean, the professor said, well, he hates Duke also. I mean, he's a big UM fan.
Yes, he does.
What was that, an unfair assessment?
I think the refs were involved from what you said, but I don't know if
I just remember that one possession really stood out to me where the Canes got hosed on 2 calls, and they were both pretty obviously bad calls. I mean, just terrible calls. And then Billis is sitting there going, well, you know what? I could see that, that wouldn't be a challengeable play. It's like, what are you talking about, Billis? You fucking saw it. Should be reporting the news on Fox News, election results. Unbelievable. All right. We will see you later on, too, on Believe with Brandon Lang, hopefully, analyzing the tournament. Tomorrow at Degenerate Friday, Mark Lawrence rejoins us on that. The professor will be back again. Plus, you'll have a big board. Mike Mayo, the gambling gourmet. I don't think Mayo's into the tournament very much. Do you?
No, I mean,
didn't strike me that way.
But he's not handicapping anything.
He ran into Segredo. There was a meeting of the minds there of the South Florida Live family at Runway 84 last night. Anthony's Runway 84. I would venture to say that Mayo and his buddy ordered or received way more food than Segredo did.
Oh, yeah. Mayo, it was like a feast.
Segredo was 100 downloads. I had to get the pictures of this thing. Like after a strong stream of Italian dishes and this baked potato that everybody's going crazy about. Then came like steaks and other things. The hell? What was that? That was the Last Supper. I mean, it really was. You would have thought that, literally, you would have thought that this was this guy's last meal. It was incredible. And if it was, it probably was spectacular. So I'm sure we'll hear about that today on the Lunchbox and the Segredo meeting at 12 o'clock today. All right, we'll see you then as we leave you now that.
The time.
9:01.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.
Look what they done to my soul.